I realized that I wasn't going to lose any of the things that really mattered to me just because I lost my job. So many of the women that we interviewed for All the Cool Girls Get Fired were true inspirations. When they went through job loss and career setback, most of them weren't the people you know them to be now. For instance, Oprah hadn't yet become Oprah, and several other of the ladies hadn't gone on to be the sort of icons that we know them today. But in talking to them, when they lost their jobs and how they sort of processed what happened to them and got back into the workforce. I just found their stories of resilience and the way that they found camaraderie in their communities and connected with the people who helped them along the path to what came next. I just found that very, very inspiring. So I went through a troubled period when I was fired from my job. It was something that I did not see coming, even though there had been a regime change at the top of the organization I worked for and probably should have. But I think I had sort of convinced myself that we were contributing great work to the overall company, that, I was expecting maybe stronger signals before D-Day came. And so when it happened to me, there was so much I realized I didn't know when you get fired, all the complicated sort of things that are pushed at you in a packet of paper. Obviously, the top line things being my finances, navigating the American healthcare system, and there are very fun things that they don't tell you that you need to know when it happens to you. But the main thing that got me through it, honestly, was my family and my friends. I realized that I wasn't going to lose any of the things that really mattered to me just because I lost my job. And thankfully, I hadn't attached too much value to who I was as a person to my day to day. Laura, who had been through it before me, became a great supporter, a great voice of reason, and that person who, was not going to let me wallow in it for too long, although we did go out for drinks, and that's where the book was born. Um, but it really was that network of friends and family who were there to remind me that everything I had put in and contributed and worked for the, 10 years I was at that job and all the years before working away in other organizations, didn't just disappear, and that I could take those things with me. But it takes you a minute to, regain your balance, and you need that network to really help you see, who you are, and that remains, and how you can put that value into what comes next. It's going to be okay. I think what you don't realize when you suffer a setback, as monumental as getting fired feels, that it will work out in the end, but you have to give it time, and you do have to go through the stages and process it and own what's happening to you. Call it what it is. Don't, deflect and lie or carry an additional narrative forward, because that's only going to complicate things and make you feel yucky. And I think the second part to that, and why it's going to be okay, is if you're a person who always shows up how you are in all aspects of your life, so that the way you behave at home with your friends and family, with your colleagues, in your workplace, if that is always your true and honest self, then things will work out for you. Laura and I have had such a great response, A, to the people who participated in the book in the first place, and from the women and, people we've met out on the road, is because, we genuinely believe that you are cool if something like this happens, and it is just a temporary setback, and good things can come from these types of resets. And that's been really, rewarding to sort of see, the response along the way. I knew I was a troublemaker when I got fired, and could see that one day it would be, in hindsight, the best thing that ever happened to me because of all the great opportunity, conversations, people I met in the wake of it. I really had to open myself up to something that maybe I had been closed off to because I wasn't ready to look for it. And when I had a complete kind of career and life shift, um, good trouble came from the fact that I had to reset everything. I don't think I've seen her be afraid, but I've definitely seen, when something's unjust or, when Laura gets like visibly upset if things, aren't fair. And I think that we've met a lot of people recently who have had unfair things happen to them. And, I think Laura rallies like, for people who maybe don't necessarily have the voice or the confidence, like she can kind of, help kind of shake them a bit to say, this is, good. And you have to sort of, get out of the expectation that everything's just going to sort of, merrily roll along. But I don't think I've ever seen her afraid. I think she just gets sometimes frustrated when things aren't fair.
Like I was doing well. So I did prove out her theory that everything was going to be okay. You know what I mean? But look, this is what's so crazy about this whole book was born from Christina getting fired, from her wigging out about it, and from me being like, F this, we're really good at what we do. Let's show everyone. But and then but it was born from her being 2 weeks fresh fired and all the things that she needed. You know what I mean? All those things in the book is what she was struggling with at the time, which I'd reconciled in some way because I was 14 months ahead of her, so I'd gone through a bit of that stuff and I'd been able to give her some information. But she was like, and that because Christina's very really great at packaging stuff and being like, okay, this is if I need this, surely someone else will, and let's put it this way. You know what I mean? Where I'm more the billboard of like, yeah, we're awesome, and everyone, and I'm the culture changer kind of like, this is I would have shift this whole thing. And then Christina's like, okay, this is how we shift this whole thing.